Hello and welcome back to Gen Z Politics, the channel where we break down the stories shaping your world, without the boring jargon. Today, we're diving into a story that's less about a new policy bill and more about the collision of two very different worlds, the world of A-list celebrity talk shows and the modern, disruptive British monarchy. The headline is explosive, and you've probably seen it all over your social media feeds. Graham Norton throws Meghan Markle off his show. It sounds like something straight out of a tabloid fantasy, right? A dramatic, on-the-spot ejection. But as with most things in the media, especially when it comes to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the reality is far more nuanced, and in many ways, far more revealing about the current state of media, public perception, and power. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our deep dives. This isn't just gossip. It's a case study in modern public relations and the price of stepping outside established systems. So, what actually happened? Contrary to the clickbait headlines, Meghan Markle was not physically thrown off a set during a recording. The throwing off was metaphorical, but nonetheless significant. The incident refers to the reported cancellation of a planned, high-profile interview Meghan Markle was scheduled to give on Graham Norton's famed BBC talk show. This interview was meant to be a cornerstone of the publicity tour for her and Prince Harry's various commercial ventures, which we'll discuss in detail later. The cancellation, according to multiple media insiders, came directly from Graham Norton himself, a figure known for his genial, non-confrontational style. The reason cited: a fundamental disagreement over the format and content of the interview. The Duchess's team, representing Archwell Productions and her personal brand, reportedly presented a list of pre-approved questions and strict guidelines on topics that were off-limits. For a seasoned interviewer like Norton, whose entire brand is built on spontaneous, witty, and sometimes cheeky banter, these conditions were apparently a deal-breaker. He felt they undermined the integrity of his show and his relationship with his audience, leading him to pull the plug. This decision sent shockwaves through both the entertainment and media industries, sparking a debate about control, narrative, and the evolving role of celebrities who are also public figures with a serious agenda. It's a story about a clash of philosophies, not a physical altercation. To truly understand why this seemingly minor scheduling conflict became international news, we need to rewind and look at the background of the key players. Let's start with Graham Norton. For those who might not be familiar, Graham Norton is an Irish television presenter, comedian, and actor whose BBC talk show, The Graham Norton Show, is a cultural institution in the UK and beyond. The show's format is iconic. A big, red circular couch where 3 or 4 A-list celebrities sit together, interacting, often with a glass of wine in hand. The magic of Norton's style is his ability to create a party atmosphere. He's not a hard-hitting journalist like Jeremy Paxman. He's a master of lighthearted fun, cheeky innuendo, and getting celebrities to let their guard down in a way that feels genuine. His questions are often playful, and the chemistry between the guests is a key part of the appeal. The show is a well-oiled machine of positive publicity. Celebriters go on to promote their latest movie or album, they share a funny anecdote, they partake in the infamous red chair segment, and they leave having endeared themselves to millions. The unspoken contract is simple: the guest gets a friendly platform, and the show gets entertaining content. Trust is the currency. Norton's reputation is built on being a safe pair of hands, but safe in the sense that he is fair and funny, not that he is a puppet. On the other side of this equation is Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Her journey is, by now, well documented but crucial to recap. A successful American actress on the popular series, Suits, Meghan entered the British royal family in 2018, an event hailed as a modernizing force. She was a biracial, divorced, outspoken feminist marrying into one of the world's most traditional institutions. Almost immediately, she became a focal point of intense media scrutiny, which she and Harry have described as often racist, intrusive, and cruel. After just under 2 years as senior working royals, they made the unprecedented decision to step back, a move dubbed Megxit. They relocated to North America and embarked on a new life, part humanitarian, part media mogul. Through their Archwell organization, they have signed massive deals with Netflix and Spotify to produce content that, in their words, aims to share, impact-driven programming that informs, elevates, and inspires. This shift is critical. Meghan Markle is no longer just an actress promoting a role, and she is not a working royal bound by the rule of never complaining, never explaining. She is a hybrid figure, a global influencer with a mission to tell her own story, on her own terms. This mission, however, often requires a level of narrative control that is atypical for traditional media circuits. This desire for control is the central friction point that led to the incident with Graham Norton. It's a clash between the established, collaborative rules of the celebrity interview and the new, tightly managed rules of the mission-driven personal brand. Now, let's walk through the main story step by step. The timeline of events, pieced together from industry reports from outlets like The Guardian and Deadline, begins several months ago. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were preparing for a significant push to promote their new projects. These projects are the lifeblood of their financial independence, following their separation from the royal family. The success of their Netflix docuseries, their Spotify podcasts, and any future literary or production ventures depends entirely on public interest and positive press. For any major celebrity, a slot on a top-rated talk show like Graham Norton's is prime real estate. It offers access to a massive, mainstream audience in a key market. Therefore, it was a logical and strategic move for Archewell's publicity team to secure a booking. The initial conversations between the two camps would have been standard, discussing availability, the general topics to be covered, and the promotional hook, likely one of their Archewell productions. The problems began when the discussions moved from the general to the specific. As is common practice for high-profile figures, especially those with complex backgrounds, Meghan's team submitted a list of parameters for the interview. This is not unusual in itself. Even movie stars will often have topics they'd prefer to avoid, like a recent breakup or a controversial co-star. However, the reports suggest that the list provided by the Duchess's team was exceptionally comprehensive and restrictive. It allegedly included not just a set of pre-approved questions, but also a detailed list of off-limit subjects. These forbidden topics were said to include not only the obvious ones, like specific members of the royal family or the details of their exit, but also broader themes like the British tabloid press, their ongoing legal battles, and even certain aspects of their life in the United States. In essence, the conditions sought to strip the interview of any potential for spontaneity or the kind of lightly probing, humorous questions that are Graham Norton's specialty. The interview was to be a controlled presentation, a segment dedicated solely to the positive message of their work, without any of the cheeky asides or personal revelations that audiences tune in for. When this document reached Graham Norton and the show's producers, it reportedly caused immediate concern. For them, this wasn't just a difficult request, it was an existential threat to the format of their program. The Graham Norton show's success relies on the illusion of casual, unscripted fun. If it became known that a guest had dictated the entire conversation, the show's credibility with its audience would be severely damaged. More personally for Norton, who is also a writer and an astute observer of celebrity culture, it would compromise his artistic and professional integrity. He would be reduced to a mouthpiece, reading lines approved by a publicist. The decision he faced was stark: proceed with an interview that felt inauthentic and risk the trust of his viewers, or cancel the booking and face the inevitable media storm. According to sources, Norton did not hesitate long. He concluded that the conditions were untenable and made the call to cancel the appearance. The message was clear: on his show, the format and the audience's trust come first. This wasn't a personal attack on Meghan Markle, it was a professional stand for the principles of his craft. The cancellation was communicated professionally, but the fallout was instantaneous within media circles, quickly leaking to the press and igniting the firestorm of headlines we see today. Following the leak, the court of public opinion, as always, was divided, and the reactions from various quarters were swift and telling. Let's look at the statements and the wider discourse. First, from the camp of traditional media and entertainment professionals, there was a significant amount of quiet support for Graham Norton. While few spoke on the record, fearing the intense backlash from online supporters of the Sussexes, the sentiment was echoed in columns and industry chats. A veteran producer for a rival talk show was quoted in a trade publication saying, "Norton did what any self-respecting host would have to do. Your show is your brand. If you let a guest dictate terms to that extent, you're finished." The audience can smell inauthenticity a mile away. This perspective frames the incident as a defense of journalistic and entertainment integrity, even in a soft-focus setting. It positions Norton as upholding a standard against the rising tide of overly controlled, PR-managed celebrity interactions. On the other side, supporters of Meghan and Harry saw the cancellation as yet another example of the institutional bias and disrespect they believe the couple constantly faces. Prominent voices on social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram argued that after years of brutal and unfair media treatment, Meghan has every right to set boundaries. They contended that her work with Archewell is substantive and should be the focus of any interview, not salacious gossip or rehashing past trauma. For them, the pre-approved questions were not about control for control's sake, but about ensuring a respectful and productive conversation centered on their philanthropic and creative output. This viewpoint reframes the issue from one of professional integrity to one of power dynamics and trauma. It asks why Meghan should be expected to submit to a format that makes her uncomfortable, especially when the stated goal is to discuss her work, not her personal life. The reaction from Archewell itself was characteristically muted. They did not release a formal statement about the cancellation, adhering to their strategy of not engaging with what they might deem speculative media stories. This silence, however, speaks volumes about their approach. They are operating by their own rules, and a missed talk show slot is a calculated cost of maintaining narrative control. The implications of this event stretch far beyond a single cancelled TV appearance. Why does this matter? It matters because it is a microcosm of a much larger battle being waged in the media landscape. This is about the fundamental shift in how public figures manage their relationship with the public. The traditional model, embodied by Graham Norton's show, is one of intermediation. A trusted host acts as a mediator between the celebrity and the audience. The host asks questions the audience wants to know, and the celebrity, by participating in this sometimes unpredictable exchange, earns goodwill and publicity. It's a transaction based on a degree of vulnerability and trust in the mediator. The new model, which Meghan and Harry are pioneering, is one of disintermediation. It bypasses the traditional gatekeepers. Why go through a talk show host when you can speak directly to millions via a Netflix documentary, a Spotify podcast, or a coordinated interview with a hand-picked journalist like Oprah Winfrey? In this model, the celebrity retains full control. The message is unfiltered, the narrative is precise, and there is no risk of an unexpected, awkward question. Both models have their merits and pitfalls. The traditional model can feel more authentic and humanizing, but it carries the risk of a misstep or a hostile interviewer. The new model guarantees message discipline but can often feel sanitized, curated, and less relatable. For Gen Z, who are native to a world of direct-to-consumer media through YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, this tension is very familiar. Influencers maintain tight control over their brands. The question this incident raises is whether this model can be successfully transferred to figures who operate in multiple spheres: entertainment, philanthropy, and what remains of their royal status. Can you be a relatable humanitarian and a tightly controlled brand at the same time? Furthermore, the incident has implications for the future of the Sussexes' commercial endeavors. Their deals with Netflix and Spotify are predicated on their ability to attract and engage a global audience. If they become perceived as difficult or unwilling to engage with mainstream promotional channels, it could limit the reach of their projects. While their core supporters will remain loyal, converting a broader, more casual audience requires participating in the very media ecosystems they seem to distrust. In conclusion, the story of Graham Norton throwing Meghan Markle off his show is not a simple tale of right and wrong. It is a layered narrative about control, authenticity, and the changing rules of fame in the 21st century. Graham Norton was not acting out of malice. He was protecting the essence of a television program that has thrived on a specific formula of genuine, if lighthearted, interaction. Meghan Markle was not acting out of arrogance. She was enforcing a boundary, a principle of controlling her narrative that she and Harry have deemed essential for their well-being and their mission. This collision was perhaps inevitable. It represents the friction that occurs when a force committed to changing a system meets an institution that is, in its own way, equally committed to its proven methods. The real takeaway for us, the audience, is to be more critical consumers of media. When we watch a highly produced Netflix documentary, we should understand it is a deliberate argument, a piece of advocacy from its creators. When we watch a talk show, we should appreciate the delicate dance between the host and the guest, a performance that strives for spontaneity within a professional framework. The future of public life will likely be a hybrid of these models. The challenge for figures like Meghan and Harry will be to find a way to maintain their integrity and safety without becoming so insulated that they lose the connection and spontaneity that makes stories compelling. And the challenge for traditional media will be to adapt to a world where the subjects of stories increasingly want to be their own authors. So, what do you think? Is total narrative control the necessary future for public figures who have been burned by the press? Or does true connection require a little vulnerability, a little risk, and maybe even a cheeky question from a host like Graham Norton? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the politics of everything from palaces to podcasts. Thanks for watching.